Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be walking us through the fourth and final strike mission for End of Dragons, the Harvest Temple. Located in the Jade Sea, the Harvest Temple is the final battle of the expansion, where players must face the pantheon of Elder Dragons. This fight can be more of an endurance fight, meaning it may take you a decent portion of time to clear, so stamina will be in your favor with this fight. And without further ado, let's climb the Harvest Temple and present a condensed summary of the various Elder Dragon phases you and your friends will face. So first up, what I would call Phase 1. Phase 1 consists of the Orbs, Jormag, Primordus, and Kralkatorrik. So the Harvest Temple fight starts off with a large orb that must be pushed into specific areas, which are designated by a large white circle on the ground. When the orb reaches the circle, void crabs will spawn and travel towards the orb. If these crabs reach the orb, a dangerous shockwave will expand out, dealing great amounts of damage and knocking players down. The other way that this shockwave can occur is by pushing the orb out of the arena boundary. Ultimately, you don't want these shockwaves to go off. So here's a strategy that I've used. We assign 2 to 3 players to orb duty, where they are responsible for pushing the orb by just attacking it in a direction. The rest of the squad will split up and focus on the void crabs, which spawn out of the 4 portal locations that are scattered around the arena. This allows us to push the orb in a timely manner while having comfort with the crabs being taken care of. You can also hard CC the crabs with stuns, pulls, fears to give yourselves more time. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the rules of the arena. This isn't just about Phase 1, but the entire duration of this fight. So, before we go into the first Dragon Void boss, let me explain and establish the rules of the arena. First and foremost, we have positioning and void orbs. The arena can be divided into 2 segments, the inner ring and the outer ring. Within the inner ring, there is a void orb that continues to grow during each Dragon Void boss, and will reset with each kill of an Elder Dragon. While there are no enrage timers, this acts as some sort of soft enrage. The longer the fight takes, the less room you will have, and you will ultimately die from the damage and taunting effects that this corruption and void applies. Due to the inner circle being highly dangerous, it may be in your team's best interest to practice not going into the inner circle during split phases and different mechanics. Practice staying on the outer circle the best you can. Also, do not run through the middle of the field, as it will strike you with a void orb and cause you to be an enemy to your friends if you stack up enough of the debuff. The next mechanic about the rules of the arena is the split bombs. Throughout the fight, all players will be afflicted with an explosion. Everyone has to split and not stack in order to survive. The next mechanic is poisons. Like the bombs, 2 players will be tainted with poison throughout the fight and must run away from the group to drop the poison in time. You really don't want to stand in these fields. They're very dangerous. Those are all of the rules of the arena, mechanics that pop up throughout this fight's duration. Now let me talk about the 3 Elder Dragons that you face. First and foremost, we have Jormag. Once 3 orbs are pushed into the white circles and the Defiance bar is broken, the Dragon Void will summon Jormag to fight. Jormag is pretty straightforward in their mechanics. It shoots out beams of ice to damage players, making the arena slick with ice, which causes players to slide around, and zapping the ground with multiple strikes of ice lightning. Once again, to remind of positioning, if you are targeted with poison or have to split for the bombs, try not to run into the inner circle if you can help it. Next is Primordus. Upon killing Jormag, Primordus will poke its head out of the void. Destroyers come onto the field and should be focused down first to clear the arena. Though be careful when going to kill the adds, as Primordus will bite half of the arena, instantly dropping players to the down state. The area of the bite also leaves a damaging field for a duration, so wait a moment before you return to half of the arena to fight Primordus. To note, when he does his bite, try not to stack on each other, as explosions will occur at the same time. The only other direct attack Primordus has is his chin butt. Just avoid the large AoE. And lastly, for the first phase, we have Kralkatorrik. Kralkatorrik is the 3rd and final Elder Dragon to face in this phase. He will summon Branded Devourers, which should be focused down first, much like all of the adds throughout this fight. Krakatork's unique attacks consist of branded meteors and spicy Kit Kats, which are just large AoE paths of void, but hey, my groups, we coined the term spicy Kit Kats, and also a Twix for the single one. Anyways, these Kit Kats of void will alternate between 2 parallel paths and 1 in the middle. Simply move left and right throughout the fight to avoid the paths. That's phase 1. Now on to phase 2. This is when you have to do the orb mechanic again, fight Mordremoth and Zaitan. During the second cycle of orbs and dragons, you will start off by pushing orbs again. This time, Mordremoth will summon Stave Master Adrian, who can be focused down first before moving on to the pushing the orbs, or can be killed while the orb pushers are also pushing. It all comes down to the group's DPS. Then you will push Zaitan's heart to the final white circle, but be very careful of Zaitan as the acid will drop from the orb while it is being pushed. It may be smart to assign players with ranged attacks to push the orbs during this specific phase due to the many damaging factors that spawn around these orbs when you're pushing them. Oh, and void crabs still spawn when you push the orbs into the white circles. That's pretty consistent throughout the fight. Now for Mordremoth. Mordremoth, our good old cat noodle boy. Yeah, Mordremoth is where groups run into a lot of difficulty because you have to do the hardest mechanic known to Guild Wars 2. Pause for a moment to build dramatic tension. You guessed it, jumping. Yeah, I know. Stay on the outside ring to give you the most amount of time to react to its shockwaves that you will have to jump over. Mordremoth does 3 shockwaves, jump over them 3 times. You will also have to spread out with bombs during the jump phase, so just take note of that. And the only other mechanic would be Mordremoth's acid spit that scatters throughout the arena, but this usually does not land near the actual hitbox where most players are stacked. Finally, for this phase, we have Zaitan. Killing Mordremoth summons Zaitan and 3 champion void giants. These giants are probably the most deadly adds that spawn in this fight. You really want to keep their break bars broken to prevent them from fearing in large areas around them. And these giants will also vomit acid below their feet, dealing damage just like the acid that drops from the orb push phase. So you really don't want to stand in melee range when the acid is dropped. Other than this, be ready to dodge Zaitan's area attack and be very wary of the Zaitan reach adds that spawn, which do alternating circular and donut-shaped attacks. Finally, on to phase 3, where we have another orb push, we have to fight Suwan and the Void Amalgamate. Phase 3 sees you fight a Void Salt Spray first, and then push the orb into the white circle. Kill the Salt Spray, break the Defiance bar, etc, etc. You'll be good. Now on to Suwan. The final Elder Dragon you must face is the Void Corrupted Suwan. These mechanics mimic that of the Dragon's End fight. Suwan will slam the arena, creating waves that you have to jump or dodge roll through. These waves originate from her hand and also with her tail slap that strikes the arena a bit further away from her. Suwan also swipes in front of her, knocking down players and spawning bouncing void orbs. She will also breathe void on the field, so do not stand in the void. Now let's talk about the Void Amalgamate. Upon reaching 50% health, Suwan will leave the battle for a moment and summon a Void Amalgamate that acts like the pushing orb phase. It will spew out many small orbs that quickly deplete players' healths, so try to stay in the safe zones of the pattern that it generates. What you want to do in this phase is have players spread around the orb roughly evenly, hitting it at a relatively equal pace as to not shoot it to the wall of the arena. Once again, if it hits the wall, like the other orb phases, it will cause a damaging shockwave. Kill the orb and get back to punching Suwan. Once the Void Amalgamate is down, you gotta kill Suwan. During this phase, you have to be very careful of the extra adds that spawn. They cause a lot more arena clutter and stress. But no other extra mechanics aside from those adds. Do damage to Suwan and get your kill. I gotta say, the Harvest Temple, this fight is incredible and can be a major challenge for groups to overcome. With so many mechanics to juggle at any given time and the overall duration of this fight, this is by far one of my favorite endgame encounters that Guild Wars 2 has to offer, and I cannot even begin to imagine what they have planned for the challenge mode of this fight. I'm excited to see more of that. Thank you all so much for watching. If you would like to support the channel and get early access to videos, head on over to the Patreon. Subscribe, share, comment your thoughts on this strike mission. I would love to see and hear everyone's reactions to this final strike mission that I really praise highly. Want to see summaries on the other strike missions for End of Dragons? Click on the videos on screen. See you all in the next video. Bye-bye.